It's a fabulous apartment staying here in Havana with a local family, and every morning a beautiful breakfast and a wonderful view. Let's take a look. So the cattle truck has arrived, and the cattle are getting on. This is transport Cuban style. Every little village, different suburbs, they all have a little homage to Fidel Castro. It's kind of like a religious figure, really. Yeah, that face is everywhere. So we're on a very high mountain right now. A little cooler up here. So manos means toilet in Spanish. And you can buy some toilet paper if you'd like. You can actually pay for the toilet paper, or else there's no toilet paper. Just imagine hundreds of slaves working on this plantation, and here they're grinding the coffee kernels. They put them in a little channel there, and they walk around with this pole, the wheel on the outside. And all day the slaves are walking around and around to grind the coffee beans barefoot. We don't waste shoes on the slaves, so and if you play up, the dogs will come and get you. Church party, you get put in irons, and yeah, that's a hard life. Spending all day, every day, walking around this circle. Wow. So we're now at the very top of the mountain where we have the cafe. I'm not sure what the Wi-Fi code is. I might ask the guy later, but it's pretty old school. Hand ground coffee beans with the coffee cooked on an open fire with some old car rim to, there you go. It's life here in Cuba. It's just fabulous. This is a slave plantation, coffee plantation, and leg irons and iron that goes around your neck. And there's no locks on these. These are welded shut. It's kind of like forged, or these slaves lived a pretty damn hard life, I would think.
I'm gonna
Just to give you a little curio about life in Cuba, have a look at this door. Now, there's no doorbell, there's no sign on the door, there's no number on the door. This is the dance studio. and you wouldn't know it. You're not really allowed to put signs on buildings. It's kind of a hassle to get your advertising approved in the Cuban government, but you can't even knock on the door. The people are way upstairs. There's no doorbell. It's so difficult to know that this is the dance studio, and how do you actually alert people that you're here? They just yell a lot and, I don't know, use WhatsApp to say I'm downstairs. Doorbells are expensive in the West. Cuban life is a little simpler, but it's also very complex, and that's the 2+1 concept. Life in Cuba, it's a little different.
Ready.
Sometimes in Cuba you have to walk up the steep hills. The BC taxi struggles just a little bit. It's hard to push the whole taxi all the way up. So we just get out and walk a little bit. It's home delivery. See, that's how you get your pizza. You just lower down a rope, and the pizza guy puts your pizza in the rope. That's Cuba, a little different. Home delivery, pulley rope kind of style. And some more hapless tourists lining up outside the mobile phone shop. There's literally no SIM cards in the entire city. Nowhere in Havana seems to have SIM cards, because I tried to buy a new SIM card Not happening. So I've got about 2 gigs left on this one. Let's hope it lasts. These old girls, these old cars, they just keep them going. They literally just keep patching up these cars. They're 50 years old, beautiful, and they just keep patching these cars up. Patches on patches on patches. It's a very common sight here that people are just literally fixing their old cars in the street. Probably worth $50,000, $100,000 elsewhere in the world, but here it's just another car. Just have a look at these magnificent old buildings. It's obviously washing day here in Cuba. These buildings are beautiful, but gee, there's a lot of washing on them. I'm not sure what to make of that, but it's, my God, it's an interesting place. Think about coming to Havana. Really, this is an amazing place to be. So life in Cuba, people just drop down their shopping bags and well, there you go. There's a Louis problem today. Oh dear. The system doesn't always work. In fact, there's a lot of things in Cuba that sadly don't work. And home delivery via rope and bag is one of those things that sometimes just doesn't quite work. Or maybe it does. The roping bag has, I see, these Cubans, they're, look at the thing. There you go. That's how home shopping is delivered in Cuba. Like most things, Cuba is just so different. Now we're going to get into the cocoa taxi, named after the coconuts. They have a distinctive kind of rounded shape. So off we go for more adventures in the Cuban cocoa taxi. Cuban cigars.
Just one.
So many of them. Friendly people and amazing cigars. Look at this. Wow, whole shop full.
Just know how this works.
That's the price for pieces.
This is for pieces.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
you
can buy 1, 2, like you want.
Okay, there's a 1385. What's that?
So the cigars need to be kept in a humidity-controlled environment, which is why the doors are a little foggy here, but there's quite a lot of cigars in this humidor, I think as it's called. It is a very large number of cigars, and a very interesting cigar shop in the Hotel Nacional, one that has had a very large number of famous actors, many photos of the actors and famous people, movie directors and the like, all came to Havana to smoke a cigar in the Hotel Nacional. Another little curio is that most of these cars are actually owned by the Cuban government, and they're rented out as taxis. In fact, these cars you can hire them as a taxi. You want to go to the airport, this is the kind of car you can get very, very cheaply. But they're owned by the Cuban government. Taxis. From way back in time. Have a look at this street name here. So currently the street name is called Felix Pina, but prior to the revolution it was called Santo Tomas. So all of the streets in the city got renamed after the revolution. So there you go. A little bit confusing because for hundreds of years everybody's known the streets by one name, and overnight every street in the city got a new name. And in fact, even today, the streets have two names on the plaques. The new name and the prior to the revolution name. There you go. Cuba, where 2 + 2 equals 5. Don't look now, and I think Fidel Castro.
Trivia! Fidel Castro, 5th Prime Minister of Cuba.
Don't look now, and I think Fidel Castro is somewhere in the city. So I'll have to keep an eye out for him. What's kind of interesting is that the city is dotted with these blue water containers. In fact, most houses have one. The building ones are a bit bigger, but that's because the water doesn't always run out of the taps like it might do in a first world country. So you kind of need to have your own water supply, and every so often, if the city's water stops flowing from the taps, then you have your own water tank. It's kind of an important necessity here in Cuba. So there you go. Something you take for granted in the West. Not always available, water or electricity. Good afternoon from Havana. We're in a rooftop restaurant and bar, and it is coming on sunset. So the sun is just about to set over the entire city. And just a few comments about the currency here. So we have a few weird things going on with Cuban currency. You have the Cuban pesos, which if you look up the internet, one US dollar, 1 euro in fact, is about equivalent to 26 pesos. And then you go to the government here and you look up the site here, and the government gives you 128 pesos for each dollar. 128 pesos. You go to the restaurant and the restaurant might give you 170. The restaurants sort of advertise their prices in pesos and the conversion rate for euros. And then we come to the black market and you might get 190 now. When I first arrived here it was 170, now it's 190. So the currency is all over the place. You have a choice of what the currency conversion rate is. 1 to 26, 1 to 170, 1 to 190, depends on where you go. That's Cuban currency for you. It's very unusual.
Newsflash. In the last 9 months, the exchange rate has jumped 30%. $1 EU now buys 290 pesos and still climbing. Great for tourists, but the poor Cubans are suffering very badly, yet they are still smiling. In other news just to hand, official fuel prices rise 500%, driven by USA sanctions. Tough times in Cuba.
So when you're doing business in Cuba, you end up having very large piles of cash.
And it's only
not-
10,000 pesos.
It's only 10,000 pesos. It's not worth very much, but God, there's a lot of it. So Cubans, unfortunately, are no strangers to lining up. The sad fact is there's actually very, very little medicine in the entire country, thanks to sanctions. So the pharmacy shops are bare, the hospitals are like, well, we just don't have the drugs to treat you. Sometimes not the bandages. It's a challenging place to live, but also beautiful. One of the sad facts of life in Cuba. Here we have a pharmacy. They really don't have very much at all. The shelves are literally just bare, a couple of boxes. So you don't want to get sick here. You won't be able to get medicine from the hospital or the pharmacy. Literally, shelves are bare. Huge lines here at the bank, just waiting to use the automatic teller machines. It's not easy to get cash out, even as a Cuban. So there is a few automatic teller machines, and the lines are jolly long trying to get cash out. Good luck trying to get cash out in Cuba. So cool to see the government workers in Cuba doing some pruning work, and there they are working in a horse and carriage. It's very old school here in Cuba. So this is central Cuba, and we have a fuel station here. The good news is that there is in fact no line at the fuel station. There is also no cars. There's in fact no fuel. So Cuba is in the middle of the worst fuel crisis that it's had for decades, and the entire city of Havana just has no fuel in any of the fuel stations. So it's a little bit of a problem. Dancing class is finished for the day, and now we're just relaxing in our resort. So it seems like we've managed to get a 5-star resort all to ourselves, would you believe? The resort's in fact closed, but it's not what you know, it's who you know. They've opened the resort for our dancing group and in fact a busload of friends and family. So have a look at this. Isn't this outstanding? It is the most magical view. It's just so chill and relaxed, and we're just having cocktails by the pool and enjoying the ocean. This is Cuba.
Bum